Hello everyone, I welcome you all for today's session. I am Dr. Priyanka Sachdev here and today I am here to discuss the previous year questions of INICT. As INICT is very close, we all know. So today I will discuss previous year questions of INICT June 2021. All pathology questions I am going to discuss in this session. We know till date only two INICTs are conducted. The most recent one is June 2021 and before that it is November 2020. So I am going to discuss both of these papers. So I will discuss the PYQs of both of these papers of pathology. In pathology, in June 2021 INICT, we got 32 questions from pathology. And in November 2020, we have 28 questions from pathology. So we know pathology is a really very important subject from INICT point of view. So we will discuss all the PYQs here. So today I am going to discuss June 2021 all 32 questions of pathology here in this session. So let's start. So this is question number 1. You can see, you can read the question. First you give me your guess. What is your guess for the correct answer? Then I will tell you the correct answer. Okay. So the first question is, it is paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, that is PNH. We already know the full form of PNH. So PNH does not causes which of the following? Does not causes. So in the question, please always read not, accept very correctly. Done. So don't miss these words. Sometimes you may become wrong because of missing these words on the question. So PNH does not include which of the following? PNH is paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, we know. So the options are, the four options are in front of you: aplastic anemia, thrombosis, hemolysis and leukemia. These are the four options. Which of these doesn't occur in PNH? So before answering it, you should know what is paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. What is it? What is it? And what is the pathophysiology of this type? It is a type of hemolytic anemia, we know. So you should know what is the pathophysiology of this type of hemolytic anemia. Then you can answer it very correctly. Okay, what is the correct answer? Does anyone know? So there is a triad of paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. The triad includes three things. It includes pancytopenia, which includes aplastic anemia, thrombosis and hemolysis, but it doesn't include leukemia. So the correct answer here is D, because the question contains except. Now I will explain you. Now listen, in the exam, that is in INICT, not only in INICT, in any exam, we always appear in the exam by solving, after solving the PYQs of that exam. For example, just for example, we have INICT head. So we will solve all PYQs, previous year questions of INICT before appearing. Why do we do that? Why we always first solve previous year questions of that particular exam before appearing in that exam? Because we believe that almost 50% of the paper is repeat paper, 50% of the paper is new paper, and almost 50-60% of the paper is repeat paper. What do you mean by repeat? The questions are not repeated as such. ऐसा नहीं है कि ये ऐसा कैसा क्वेश्चन आके रिपीट हो जाएगा. No, the topics are repeated. Questions are never repeated. Topics are repeated. Now, it may happen that in the upcoming INICT, you may get a question from PNH, but a different question, not the exactly same question. So PNH is an important topic. You should understand it. So it is not only thing you should learn the answer and move ahead to the next question. No, complete PNH first. So I will give you theory also. For this 50% new repeat questions as well as 50% new questions. So let me teach you PNH. What is paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria? Okay. Let me tell you the classification of hemolytic anemia. As I have told you, it is a type of hemolytic anemia. Hemolytic anemias are of two types, hereditary and acquired. Two types of hemolytic anemias are there, hereditary and acquired. The two types of hemolytic anemias are there. Let me talk about acquired. In acquired, we have five. That is autoimmune hemolytic anemia, that is MAHA, microangiopathic hemolytic anemia, MAHA, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, that is AIHA, paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, PNH, direct toxins and splenomegaly. These are the five causes of acquired hemolytic anemia. And in hereditary, whether the problem is in RBC membrane or whether the problem is inside the problem is in enzyme or in hemoglobin. Based on that, it is spherocytosis, it is G6PD deficiency, sickle cell anemia and thalassemia. So this is the total classification of hemolytic anemia you should know. From that, our question is from PNH, that is paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. So let me teach you paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, PNH. What is the problem? As I have told you, it is an acquired defect. It is not a hereditary. It is acquired type of hemolytic anemia. So the problem is in the RBC cell membrane. What is the problem in the RBC cell membrane? Okay, let me tell you. So let me draw a blood vessel. This is the blood vessel. This is a blood vessel of normal human being, any human being. Just suppose it is a blood vessel of me, you, anyone. So blood vessel is lined by the endothelial lining. So this is the endothelial lining. Let me draw RBC. This is the RBC. RBC, WBC, platelet. We have multiple cells in the blood. Okay, let me draw RBC. Okay. So we have complement system in the blood. This is the complement system. So we have various complements, C1, C2, C3, C4. Multiple complements are present. So all this complement are inactive. Normally they are inactive. But when the pH of blood falls, that is blood become acidic due to any reason, pH falls. So it causes activation of this complement. So complement system got activated when pH of the blood falls, right? Like during sleep, in night, there is respiratory depression. Now, when we sleep, when we go to sleep during night, we have respiratory depression. Due to respiratory depression, the pH of the blood slightly falls and blood slightly become acidic when we are in sleep. So it causes activation of the complement during night, not necessarily night, whenever we are sleeping. It causes activation of the complement. So what will happen if this complement got activated? The complement which is activated, it will attack the cell membrane of various cells and destroy the cells. So they will destroy RBC, WBC and platelet. You will say, ma'am, if they will destroy RBC, WBC, platelet, we all should have pancytopenia because we all sleep in night. So complement got activated inside all of us. So why don't inside all of us this complement is killing or destroying or causing the lysis of the cell membrane of RBC, WBC, platelet? Because we have protective guards over it. What do you mean by protective guards? There are two type of protective guards which are present over the cell membrane of this RBC. What is the name of those? And they are these two guards are protecting the RBC from this complement attack. Not only RBC, WBC, platelet, all the cells. These two guards are present. What is the name of these two guards? Okay, let me tell you. The name of these two guards is DAF and Miral. DAF. What is the full form of DAF? It is decay accelerating factor known as CD55. Or what is Miral? Membrane inhibitor of reactive lysis, also known as CD59. So CD55 and CD59 are the two guards. These are protective protein. They protect the cell, that is RBC, WBC and platelet from activation of the complement. They prevent the complement mediated lysis of the cell. So complement cannot kill the cell if these guards are present. Now how these two CD55 and CD59 are synthesized? Both of them are synthesized from another precursor protein known as GPI. Known as GPI. They are synthesized from, what is the full form of GPI? It is glycosyl phosphatidyl inositol. Glycosyl phosphatidyl inositol. It is that. Okay, let me draw a diagram for you. Let me take a white sheet. Okay, again I will draw a blood vessel. So this is the blood vessel, you can see. This is the endothelial lining of the blood vessel. Okay, you can understand the endothelial lining. Very good. So you can see a RBC here. Okay, let me draw a WBC also. So you can see a WBC also, and let me draw a platelet also. You can see a platelet also. So RBC, WBC, platelet, all types of cells are present in the lumen of the blood vessel. Okay, and this is the complement. See, this is the all complement. Complement. So this complement got activated when pH of the blood falls during sleep, during night. pH falls, blood becomes acidic, it becomes activated. Now, all these cells have guards on their surface. Two guards. You know the name, CD55 and CD59. So, these two guards are present. So, this complement cannot kill these cells. Cannot kill. In normal human, they cannot kill. Now, how these guards, CD55 and CD59 are synthesized? Both of them, CD55 and CD59, that is DAF, decay accelerating factor, and Miral, membrane inhibitor of reactive lysis. Both of them are synthesized from a precursor protein. The name of the protein is GPI. GPI से ये दोनों synthesize हुए हैं. GPI का gene कहाँ है? In the nucleus of the cell, there is a gene for the GPI. The name of the gene is PGI. PGI. Okay, let me mark just a second. PGI. So this gene, PGI forms GPI and GPI forms CD55 and CD59. Now, in some patients, this gene is mutated. PGI is mutated. In some persons, in some patients, this PGI is mutated. PGI is mutated, so GPI is not formed. GPI is not formed, so CD55, CD59 is not formed. So what is the problem if these two guards are absent? Cells are present, RBC, WBC, platelets are present, but the guards are absent. So whenever person goes to sleep during night, so the pH falls, the complement will become activated, and complement will cause the lysis of all these cells. So patient presents with pancytopenia. This patient's present with pancytopenia. So pancytopenia is a feature of, and this disease is known as paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. Okay, let me explain the meaning of paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. It is occurring during night, that is nocturnal, because the blood become acidic during night only when the person is sleeping. That's why nocturnal. Now listen, imagine the person is sleeping, so pH is falling, so complement become activated. So complement is killing all three cells, but I am concerned with RBC only. So complement is causing lysis of the RBC. So all the hemoglobin comes freely in the blood. RBC will rupture and hemoglobin will come in the blood, and that hemoglobin will go in the urine. So urine will become red in color. Which urine? The first morning urine. The first morning urine become red in color always, and rest of the urine are normal. Have you got it? So that is hemoglobinuria, paroxysmal nocturnal. So hemoglobinuria is occurring only during night, and paroxysmal means attack. So between two nights, during the day, patient is absolutely normal. So during night only, patient is having hemoglobinuria. Otherwise, he is normal. So say the full form of PNH. It is paroxysmal means attack. Nocturnal means during night. Hemoglobinuria means hemoglobin in urine. Have you got the meaning? I hope you got it. So this is the problem. I hope you all understood what is the problem. So in the progenitors of RBC, WBC and platelet, this gene is mutated. PGI is mutated. So GPI is not formed. So CD55, CD59 is not formed. They are absent. They are absent. So complement, when complement become activated, it causes lysis of all the cells. So it leads to hemolysis. It leads to hemolysis. Can you see? This is the cell membrane. This is the cell membrane of any cell, RBC, WBC or platelet. And these are the two guards. This is CD55, just for say, and this is CD59. That is, this is DAF, CD55, and this is miral, that is CD59. Have you got it? That is the thing. That is the thing. So you can see it here. So again, see, there are two diagrams given. This diagram is from Robbins. Beautiful diagram. You can see here, this is CD55. This is CD59. Both of them are present on the surface of the RBC. Normal person. Just suppose this is a blood cell of me, of you, anyone. When complement got activated, at that time, this is the complement. Can you see? Okay. This is all complement. This is all the purple color thing. This is all. So complement is unable to cause the lysis. Hemolysis is not happening because these two guards are preventing the hemolysis. Imagine another RBC. See this RBC. The guards are absent. So when complement got activated here when complement got activated, can you see this is the complement coming? So it will cause lysis. It will cause hemolysis. So this is a beautiful diagram that you can see here. And why it is known as paroxysmal? Because the disease is not continuous. It comes in attacks. So during night it is happening, during day it is normal. During night it is happening, during day it is normal. That is paroxysmal. And nocturnal because it occurs during the night. In night because during sleep the pH of the blood falls slightly, reduce slightly, and blood become acidic, which leads to the activation of the complement. So that is the thing. So patient will lead to pancytopenia. So patient have not only anemia, hemolytic anemia, but leukopenia and thrombocytopenia also. So RBC, WBC as well as platelet, all the three types of cells reduces in number. Patient also have thrombosis. Why patients have thrombosis? Because the CD59 is absent on platelets also now. So this results in externalization of phosphatidylserine, which will lead to thrombosis. So CD59 also have a role in antithrombosis, you can say, and its absence leading to thrombosis. So patient have thrombosis also. So this is the triad of PNH. Please learn. Our question is based on this. So patients have hemolysis, patient have hemolytic anemia to hai, but not only anemia, leukopenia and thrombocytopenia is also a feature. So patient have pancytopenia and patient have thrombosis. So that is the triad of PNH. Please learn. Please learn. Now you are a doctor. Patient is coming to you and patient is saying, doctor, I am having red urine. The first morning urine is always red in color. So this should raise your suspicion that the patient may have PNH. So what investigations you will offer to the patient to make your diagnosis? What investigation? There are two screening tests. So the first screening test is a HAME test. HAME test. So what you will do? Okay. what you will do in Haim test, this is the patient. We will take a blood sample of the patient. There are two screening tests and one diagnostic test. I will tell you all three tests. This is the patient. I will take the blood sample of the patient in a test tube. From this test tube, I will apply three tests. The first test is the Haim test. The first test is the Haim test. Second test is sucrose test. Sucrose test. And the third test is flow cytometry. Flow cytometry. Flow cytometry is diagnostic, and these two are screening. These two are screening. Okay. In Haim test, what we will do in this test tube, this is the test tube, we will mix the acid. We will acidify the serum. We will acidify the serum. We will acidify the blood. So on acidifying, we should notice hemolysis. If the CD55 and CD59 are absent, so in the patient with PNH, hemolysis takes place. In normal patient without PNH, hemolysis will not take place on adding acid to the serum. That is the thing in Haim test. So it is a simple test. Can you see? So this is a, you can see the serum. You can see this is the patient PNH RBC. So they lack. Now there are three RBCs in this diagram. See all three. So see this RBC, it doesn't have the two guards, CD55, CD59. In this RBC, the two guards are absent. But in the middle one, can you see here? The two guards are present. So it is not the thing that all RBCs have this absence. Some of them may present honge, some of them may absent honge. So the RBCs in which guards were absent, they undergo hemolysis. Can you see here? They undergo hemolysis. They undergo hemolysis. And the RBC which have guards present on it, it doesn't undergo hemolysis. So because of lysis of the RBC, the serum become pink in color or it become red in color. Compare the color. It is Haim test. Very important PYQ, repeated many times in many exams. High propensity of repetition. So what is Haim test? In which disease it is done? It is done. So it is a screening test, not a diagnostic test. And what is the principle? So you should know the answer of everything. Second is sucrose lysis test. In sucrose lysis test also, you will take the serum and in the serum you will add sucrose. On adding sucrose also, same thing will happen. That it will acidify the blood. And if hemolysis takes place, patient have PNH. If hemolysis not take place, patient do not have PNH. So you have to take the RBC suspension and control serum and you have to add sucrose. So that is sucrose lysis test. The most important and diagnostic test is flow cytometry. What do you mean by flow cytometry? Hota kya hai flow cytometry? So this is flow cytometry. In flow cytometry, we get graphs. Can you see? These are the graphs. Okay. Let me explain you. So in we know this is a graph. This is the zero of the graph. So on x-axis and y-axis. On x-axis, this is positive, this is negative. Center is the zero. On y-axis, this is positive, this is negative, so center is the zero. So we have four quadrants. In this quadrant, both of them are positive. In this quadrant, x is negative, y is positive. In this quadrant, both are negative. And in this quadrant, x is positive and y is negative. So there are four quadrants we know. So what happens in flow cytometry? Flow cytometry is an instrument. It is an instrument, flow cytometer. It is an instrument. So this is the pipette in the instrument. So we will put the patient's blood inside it. Patient's blood, one drop of blood inside it. So the cells inside it will go inside. So all RBCs are, WBCs, platelet are going inside this flow cytometer. In flow cytometer, we will do the settings. We will do the settings. We will do the settings for x-axis. We want CD55 and on y-axis, we want CD59. So we will do the settings like this and it is connected to the screen. It is connected to the screen of a computer. So on the screen, we will get the graph. We will get the graph like this. So in which quadrant the population? So it contains millions of RBC. This one drop contains million of RBCs. So does all RBCs fall in this quadrant or in this quadrant or in this quadrant or in this quadrant? So if this is the quadrant, so both of them are positive. That is CD55. X-axis has CD55 and y-axis have CD59. That is my settings I have done. Setting मैं कुछ भी कर सकती हूँ. तो यहाँ पे दोनों positive होंगे, यहाँ पे दोनों negative होंगे, यहाँ पे one is positive, one is negative. So likewise, so these are the graphs. So we will get in flow cytometry, we will get graphs, x and y graphs. So can you see here? So on x-axis, I have set CD55 as I have told you. On y-axis, I have set CD59 as I have told you. Ulta bhi kar sakte hain, anything. But for a normal person, if the blood drop is of a normal person, my blood, if you flow in flow cytometer, all the RBCs, all population, all RBCs are falling in this quadrant. So in this quadrant, both of them are positive. In this, both of them are negative. In this, one is positive, one is negative, one is negative, one is positive. So all my population of RBC is falling in this quadrant normally. But in a patient with PNH, you will get dual population. Some of the RBCs are falling in this quadrant, and some of the RBCs are falling in this quadrant. So in this quadrant, both of them are positive. In this quadrant, both of them are negative. So they have two sets of RBCs. In some RBCs, CD55, CD59 are present. In some of them, CD55, CD59 are absent. So in flow cytometry, we get bimodal distribution of the cells. That is, on some RBCs, both of them, 55, 59 are positive, and in some of them, both are negative. So you should understand this for your IBQ. It is a potential IBQ which can come in your exam anytime. The graph is from Robbins. So you should understand flow cytometry. Very few students understand this flow cytometry. Have you got it? Have you got it? One more important last thing about PNH. It is a precursor of AML. Can lead to, acute myeloid leukemia or MDS or aplastic anemia. PNH is the only hemolytic anemia caused by acquired intrinsic defect in the cell membrane. Have you got it? So I'm done with the first question. That was question number 1. That was based on PNH. Now you can answer any question based on PNH. Based on PNH, you can answer any question. Now see the question again. Go back and see the question again. So you can answer it correctly. You can answer. You should know the triad of PNH, paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. Coming on the next question. Okay. So this is the next question. Please read the question. What it is. Read the 4 options. Now the options are these. Ye options nahi hai. These are not the options. These are the options. You can see. Okay. Let me read the question for you people. Which of the following are involved in the initial response in type 1 hypersensitivity? So the question is based on the pathophysiological mechanism of type 1 hypersensitivity. Question is based on type 1 hypersensitivity, right? So which of the following are involved in initial response in type 1 hypersensitivity reaction? You can see the 4 options are in front of you. So is it histamine release? Is it leukotriene release and prostaglandin release? Is it mast cell activation? Is it neutrophilic activation? So what you will select? ABC, ACD, AD और BCD. क्या ऑप्शन सही है? इन चारों में से बताओ क्या सही है. तो इनमें से टिक करो what all is present in the early stage of type 1 hypersensitivity. So before answering it, I will come on this question again. Before answering it, you should know the steps of type 1 hypersensitivity. So in short, you already know. So I will just enumerate the steps of type 1 hypersensitivity. Then I will show you this, and then you have to tell me what is the correct answer. Here the correct answer is A, that is ABC are correct. Okay, first I will tell you the steps, then I will come on the question again. Okay, what is the pathogenesis of type 1 hypersensitivity? The examples of type 1 hypersensitivities are all allergies. All allergies, whether it is asthma, whether it is atopic allergy, whether it is anaphylactic shock, so hay fever. So all types of allergies are included in type 1 hypersensitivity. This is the diagram from Robbins, you can see. Okay, I will tell you here. Okay, so, okay, just a second. Okay, I would like to draw it. Okay, so this is the pathogen. This is the allergen, you can say. Let me draw the allergen. This is the allergen. This is the antigen which is entering in human body. Just suppose this is the pollen grain and I am inhaling it. So it will go inside my nose, inside my respiratory tract. So as soon as the allergen, the antigen, the pollen grain is entering inside human body, the allergen, it is entering inside. So the first cell it will stimulate, the name of that cell is antigen presenting cell. It will go to dendritic cell also known as antigen presenting cell. So this antigen presenting cell will engulf the antigen, degrade the antigen into multiple small pieces and present it on the surface. And then this antigen presenting cell will present this antigen to another cell. The name of the another cell is CD4. CD4 T cells, T lymphocytes. It is helper Th2 lymphocytes. Helper are of two types now, Th1 and Th2. So helper Th2 lymphocytes, that they will get activated. Once they will get activated, they will secrete 3 cytokines inside it: interleukin 3, interleukin 4 and interleukin 5. Interleukin 3, 4 and 5. Out of this, interleukin 4 will go and stimulate the third cell. What is the name of the third cell? The third cell which is stimulated by this is B lymphocyte. So T lymphocyte, helper T lymphocyte are stimulating B lymphocyte. B lymphocyte will get converted into plasma cells. We know B lymphocyte get converted into plasma cells. Plasma cells form antibodies. These are the antibodies. There are 5 types of antibodies. Gamma, IgG, IgA, IgM, IgD, Ig. So here IgE type of antibodies are formed. These IgE type of antibodies go to another cell. Another cell is mast cell. They go to the mast cell and these IgE antibodies will bind to the mast cell by Fc fragment. This is Fab fragment and this is Fc fragment. From their Fc fragment, they will bind on the surface of the mast cell. Such a mast cell is known as stimulated mast cell. It is sensitized mast cell. So it is sensitized mast cell. So here the mechanism is over. Now if the same antigen is entering human body again, second time, same antigen and subsequent time, first time तो कुछ नहीं होगा. So the process is not repeated again. This antigen will directly go to the mast cell. So this APC will recognize this antigen that you are the one for which we have completed the process once in the past. We have memory cell for you. You directly go to the mast cell. So this antigen directly go to the mast cell for which antibodies are already there. And this antigen will bind on the Fab surface of the antibodies. And it will stimulate the antibodies. So it will give the signals below. So mast cell will get stimulated and it will open the calcium channels and it will burst. Once it will burst, the granules present inside the mast cell will come out. Mast cell have granules inside it. So it is known as degranulation of mast cell. It will burst and granules will come out. Granules contain prostaglandin, it contains leukotriene, it contains histamine, it contains serotonin, it contains various, cytokines and various chemicals inside which all these chemicals will cause the symptoms of allergy, that is bronchoconstriction, vasodilatation. So various things will be done, increased secretions, that is done by these chemicals. This is how allergy, the mechanism of type 1 hypersensitivity proceeds. Okay, see all these things in this diagram also, as I have told you. Okay, you can see this is the respiratory epithelium. Can you see? This is the respiratory epithelium. Please everyone notice respiratory epithelium here. This is the respiratory epithelium. Respiratory epithelium. On the respiratory epithelium, this is the antigen which is coming. See, this is the antigen. As soon as antigen is entering inside, this antigen is engulfed by dendritic cell. The first cell is dendritic cell. It is presenting it to T cell, that is helper Th2 cell. This helper Th2 cell is stimulated. It is secreting IL-3, IL-4, IL-5. It is stimulating B cell. B cell got converted into plasma cell. This is IgE secreting plasma cell. It is secreting IgE antibodies. See, these are IgE antibodies. IgE antibodies are going to mast cell. This is mast cell and binding on the surface of the mast cell. Now the same antigen is entering again. So it is directly going to mast cell. It is binding on the surface of the antibodies, stimulating mast cell. So mast cell burst and granules are coming out. This is known as degranulation. Degranulation of mast cell. So this is the whole mechanism. You can read like this also. So during the first contact, as the antigen is coming for the first time, antigen is captured by antigen presenting cell, going to Th2 cell. It is secreting IL-3, IL-4, IL-5. IL-4 is going to B cell. B cell got stimulated. Activated B cell convert into plasma cell. Plasma cell will form IgE antibodies. By Fc fragment, IgE antibodies bind on the mast cell. Mast cells are sensitized. They are sensitized. They are sensitized now. Now when the second time the same antigen is coming, this antigen directly going to the IgE antibody on the surface of the mast cell and they cause cell damage. So it is known as degranulation of the mast cell. So can you see? So this is the antigen binding on the IgE antibody. So mast cell got burst and the granules are coming out. Please appreciate these granules. So this is degranulation of mast cell. Degranulation of mast cell. During degranulation, what things are coming out? So this degranulation contains what and what? It contains number one histamine. Please learn. Serotonin. Our question is based on that. Leukotriene, prostaglandin. ये चार तो learn करने ही पड़ेंगे. Histamine, serotonin, leukotriene, prostaglandin, VIP, vesicular intestinal peptide. Done, and platelet activating factor. So that is the thing. That is the thing. This is how the process is completed. And these mediators, these are known as chemical mediators. These chemical mediators will cause bronchoconstriction, increased secretion. Ultimately, they are causing allergy. They are leading to allergy. So this is the mechanism of various types of allergies. Have you got it? Have you got it? Okay. Let me show you the question again. Give me a minute. Now you tell me the correct answer. You will be able to solve the question. Now read the question and tell me the correct answer. So which of the following steps are involved in the initial response of type 1 hypersensitivity? Okay. Let me read the option. Histamine release. Yes, histamine release takes place during degranulation of mast cell. Leukotriene release. Prostaglandin release. Yes, it also takes place. Histamine, serotonin, leukotriene, prostaglandin. Everything is released from degranulation of mast cell. Mast cell activation. Yes, mast cell activation takes place during the second time entry of the antigen. Neutrophil activation, no. Neutrophil activation do not takes place in the entire process. Neutrophil का role कुछ भी नहीं था. So A, B, C are correct answer. So A, B, C is given in option 1. So option 1 is the correct answer. It is not A, C, D, A, D and B, C, D. So D is not correct. So जिस option में D है वो गलत है. Done. So A, B, C are correct. So correct answer here is A. That is A, B, C. Both, all three of them are correct. Give me a thumbs up if you got it. Let me move to the next question of INICT previous year questions. Just a second. This is the next question. Now read. The next question is from neoplasia. It is a difficult level question. I guess it is a difficult level question. Okay. Okay. Which of the following statement is true? Which of the following statement is true among the following? Among the following, which of the following statement is true? So true is asked. You know, true statement is asked. So read the four statement and then tell me which of the following is true. So BRCA1 is a proto-oncogene and mutation causes carcinoma breast. So I know that you should know the classification of proto-oncogene and tumor suppressor gene for solving this question, right? There are two types of genes, na? So BRCA1 is a proto-oncogene and it causes breast cancer. ये तो सही है, लेकिन ये proto-oncogene है क्या? Does it a proto-oncogene? Yes or no? MYC gene is a tumor suppressor gene. MYC tumor suppressor gene है क्या? Yes or no? EGFR mutation leads to small cell carcinoma of the lung. Yes or no? Small cell carcinoma of the lung. And HER2 mutation leads to breast cancer. इन चारों में से सही क्या है? Okay, I will tell you. Any guess? Any guess? Which of the following is true? Out of these, which of the following is true? Any guess? Okay, some of you are right, some of you are wrong, I guess. The correct answer among these is D. That is 4. HER2 is seen in a fraction. HER2 mutation is seen in carcinoma breast. Yes. BRCA also leads to carcinoma breast, but it is not a proto-oncogene. It is a tumor suppressor gene. That's why this option is wrong. MYC is not a tumor suppressor gene. It is a proto-oncogene. ये भी उल्टा है. That's why this option is wrong. EGFR mutation leads to lung cancer, but there are 4 types of lung cancer: squamous, adeno, small cell, large cell. तुम्हें चारों का mutation पता होना चाहिए. So EGFR leads to squamous cell carcinoma, not small cell carcinoma. No, small cell carcinoma. So this option is also incorrect. So some things in these, the rest of the 3 option is incorrect, but option 4 is absolutely right. So the correct among them is D. So okay. So this question will not be repeated as such. So based on the knowledge of this question, you should know the classification of proto-oncogene and the mutation of them leads to what cancer. The classification of tumor suppressor gene and the mutation of them leads to what cancer. Then we will come on this question again. Okay. Okay. So there are 2 types of genes, proto-oncogene and tumor suppressor gene. Tumor suppressor gene are also known as anti-oncogene. So what are these? You already know. Now I have told you this story several times. Okay, once more. See, you have 2 cells in front of you. Can you see the 2 cells in front of you? Okay, you can see the 2 cells. You can see the nucleus of both cells. You can see the DNA of both cells. And both the cells have growth receptor on their surface, right? Now see the first cell. See the first cell. When growth factor is coming and binding with the growth receptor, what is happening? Mitosis takes place. So when physiological stimulus is coming, that is growth factor is coming, binding with the growth receptor, then mitosis takes place. And see the second cell. When no growth factor is coming, so no mitosis takes place, right? It happens normally. So how cell come to know that growth factor have arrived and now I have to do the mitosis? And here no growth factor have arrived and I don't have to do the mitosis. How cell will come to know? With the help of genes. With the help of genes. So there are 2 type of genes. So when growth factor is coming now, proto-oncogene will get stimulated and it will cause mitosis. When no growth factor is coming, at that time, another gene known as tumor suppressor gene will get activated and it will inhibit the mitosis. So can I say proto-oncogenes are causing mitosis? They are increasing the speed of cell division. So they are like accelerators in a car, right? And tumor suppressor genes, they are inhibiting mitosis. They are decreasing the rate of mitosis, decreasing the rate of speed of cell division. So they are like brakes in the car. They are like brakes in the car. So whenever I'm driving a car, whenever I want to increase the speed, I will apply accelerator. Whenever I want to decrease the speed, I will apply brake. So no accident will take place, right? Same in the human body. Whenever body wants to do cell division, proto-oncogene is get stimulated and it will cause cell division. Whenever body do not want cell division, tumor suppressor gene will get stimulated and it will inhibit mitosis, inhibit cell division. So no accident, no cancer take place. Done. Imagine a situation. I'm driving a car and the brake fails. Brake fail ho gaya. I cannot apply the brake. Or accelerator got stuck. at the highest speed. At the highest speed, it is stuck. I cannot decrease accelerator. So either of them or both of them together takes place. So what will happen? Blast. What will happen? Accident. So that is happening in human body, that leads to cancer. So imagine a situation, proto-oncogene got mutated, and because of mutation of proto-oncogene, it becomes overstimulated, that is stuck at highest speed. And tumor suppressor gene also got mutated, and because of mutation, it becomes understimulated, or it become inactivated. So overstimulation of proto-oncogene and inhibition of tumor suppressor gene. Overstimulation of proto-oncogene because of mutation. Mutations are of two types, gain of function mutation and loss of function mutation. Here gain of function mutation takes place and inhibition means loss of function mutation takes place. So here दोनों में हो तो mutation रहा है, लेकिन एक जगह gain of function तो उससे ओवर स्टिमुलेशन हो रहा है, नॉर्मल फंक्शन से वो अपना फंक्शन ज्यादा करेगा, और दूसरी जगह लॉस ऑफ फंक्शन म्यूटेशन हो रहा है तो नॉर्मल फंक्शन से वो अपना फंक्शन कम करेगा, मींस इनहिबिशन हो जाएगा. सो ब्रेक्स काम नहीं कर रहे हैं और एक्सीलरेटर ज्यादा काम कर रहा है, सो अनकंट्रोल्ड माइटोसिस, इट लीड्स टू अनकंट्रोल्ड mitosis, and that will lead to cancer. That you should understand. So overstimulation of proto-oncogene and inhibition of tumor suppressor gene, that you should understand. These are the two causes of cancer. Now what are proto-oncogene? It is not a one gene, it is an umbrella term containing multiple genes, so you should know the classification of proto-oncogene. What are tumor suppressor gene? There are many genes, so you should know the classification of them also. Both of them have five classes. You should learn the five classes. Let me start with proto-oncogenes. This is the classification of proto-oncogene that you must learn. Let me tell you the 5 classes. Let me take a blank page and tell you how cell division takes place. So this is a cell, this is the nucleus of the cell, and this is the DNA of the cell. This is the growth receptor on the cell surface. So what is the first thing? First, a growth factor comes. So first thing we require is the growth factor, then the binding of growth factor with the growth receptor. Second thing we require is growth receptor. तो पहले ग्रोथ फैक्टर होना चाहिए, फिर एक ग्रोथ रिसेप्टर होना चाहिए सेल डिवीजन करने के लिए. देन this signal, listen now, this signal that growth factor has arrived has to be transmitted to the nucleus for doing mitosis. Mitosis nucleus में होगा, तो mitosis के लिए this signal को transmit करने के लिए there are certain proteins in the cytoplasmic proteins which will transmit this signal from the cell membrane till nucleus. They are the mediators which are transmitting the signal. These are known as cytoplasmic transduction proteins. These are the mediators. They will transmit the signal from the cell surface to the nucleus, to the nucleus. So once the nucleus is receiving the signal, nucleus will become activated. Nucleus will do transcription and translation. So nucleus transcription and translation proteins are required. And lastly, cell cycle regulatory proteins, cell cycle regulatory proteins are required. So 5 steps are there. See, this is a growth factor. This is a growth factor receptor. So when growth factor is coming, and binding to the growth receptor, so there are certain proteins in the cytoplasm which carry the signal to the nucleus. These are known as growth factors, growth factor receptors. Then cytoplasmic signal transduction proteins, number 3. Number 4, nucleus transcription and translation factors. And lastly, cell cycle regulatory proteins. Cell cycle regulatory proteins are there. So that is the 5 classes. You should learn the genes inside them. So growth factors include PDGF, that is platelet derived growth factor, TGF, FGF, CMAT. These are the growth factors. Receptors for growth factor are EGF, c-KIT, RET, and FMS. Cytoplasmic signal transduction proteins are, the 2 important genes here are ABL-BCR and the second one is RAS. And nuclear transcription is MYC. 3 type of MYC, c-MYC, n-MYC, l-MYC. And these are the cyclins and CDKs. So this is the classification you should know. और किसके mutation से क्या होता है? When PDGF got mutated, which cancer? When आपको क्वेश्चन में EGFR है ना, EGFR seen when mutated, it will lead to squamous cell carcinoma of the lung. In your option, you have small cell carcinoma of the lung. No, small cell carcinoma of the lung नहीं होता. Small cell carcinoma of the lung occurs by l-MYC mutation, not by EGFR mutation. So you should learn this table. You should learn this table. Without this, there is no escape. You have to learn this table. That is for proto-oncogene. So in proto-oncogene, two are important. You know, RAS and MYC. RAS and MYC. MYC is of three types. You know, this is MYC, the three type of MYC. C-MYC, N-MYC, L-MYC. So C, L for L, lung, but small cell carcinoma of the lung. N for N, neuroblastoma. And C for B, Burkitt lymphoma. Okay, let me tell you. So MYC is of three type. MYC gene, C-MYC, N-MYC, L-MYC. Okay, C-MYC, N-MYC, L-MYC. Mutation of which leads to L for lung. Lekin which type of lung? Four types of lung cancers are there. Squamous, adeno, small cell, large cell. So it is small cell. Small cell of lung cancer. N for neuroblastoma. N for N. N for N. Neuroblastoma. And C for Burkitt. Learn this. Repeated many times in your PYQs. That is MYC. RAS is also three types. You can see the three type of RAS. KRAS, NRAS, HRAS. KRAS lead to colon cancer. NRAS leads to AML and melanoma. And HRAS leads to bladder and kidney cancer. So that you have to learn. You have to learn. Coming on tumor suppressor gene, you should know these are like brakes. These are like brakes and brakes are failed. Loss of function mutation takes place as I have explained you. So what is the classification? Again, 5 classes. It is easy. 5 classes. Retinoblastoma, which leads to retinoblastoma. P53 gene, which leads to many cancers. TGF beta. Now listen, TGF alpha wahan tha. Let me show you. Please see this. Everyone see this. This is TGF alpha. Can you see? Okay, let me mark. This is TGF alpha. Please see here. I am making a star. So TGF alpha is a proto-oncogene and TGF beta is a tumor suppressor gene. It is a confusing MCQ repeated many times. Please make your concepts clear. APC and others. BRCA1, BRCA2 was in your options is question me. But both of them are tumor suppressor gene. They leads to carcinoma breast. I agree, but they are not proto-oncogene. They are tumor suppressor gene. VHL leads to renal cell carcinoma. Wilms tumor, WT1, WT2 leads to Wilms tumor in children. Neurofibromatosis 1 and 2 leads to neurofibromatosis. So you should know the name of the gene and the tumor caused by it. So in short, you should know the classification of proto-oncogene, the classification of tumor suppressor gene. Each of them have five classes. The name of those five classes, the genes inside them, and the mutations caused by those genes. Learn the mutations also. So many questions are based on this classification. I tried my best. I will go to the question again, I guess. I will go to the question again. Okay, let me show you the question. Just a second. Give me a question. Second. See this question now. Now you will be able to answer it. Which of the following is true? It is asked in the question. Which of the following is true? So BRCA1 is a proto-oncogene? No, it is a tumor suppressor gene. Yeah, it leads to breast cancer. Partially this option is right, but partially it is wrong. So this option I will consider wrong. MYC gene is a tumor suppressor gene? No, the three type of MYC, C-MYC, L-MYC, N-MYC, it is a proto-oncogene. So this option is also wrong. EGFR mutation leads to lung cancer small cell? No, it leads to lung cancer. Partially it is right, but not small cell, it is squamous cell. So EGFR leads to squamous cell carcinoma of the lung. And MYC, L-MYC leads to small cell carcinoma of the lung. So this option is also wrong. But yeah, HER2 mutation leads to breast cancer. This option is right. So you should know. So based on this, the classification, you can make it out. Let me move to the next question. Next question. So we are preparing for the new questions also. From the old PYQs, it is not the thing कि you should read the question and you should learn the answer and move ahead. No, उसके आगे पीछे ऊपर नीचे सब कुछ पता होना चाहिए for solving these questions. Give me a thumbs up if you got it. This is the next question. This is the next question of INICT. The last NICT, that is June 2021. Okay. So let me read the question. Which of the following is Desmin positive tumor? Which of the following is Desmin positive tumor? Which of the following is Desmin positive? Tell me whether it is melanoma or it is medulloblastoma or it is lymphoma or rhabdomyosarcoma. What is Desmin? Desmin is the immunohistochemistry. So this question, just a second, I'm sorry. So this question is based on immunohistochemistry. This question is based on immunohistochemistry, right? So not only Desmin, you should know all immunohistochemistry. Okay, first I will tell you the table of immunohistochemistry. Then I will come on this question and you have to tell me the correct answer. Okay, so let me tell you immunohistochemistry. What do you mean by immunohistochemistry? Do you know the principle behind it? Do you know the principle behind it? No specific cell. This is a cell. This is a cell. Now, human body have two types of cell now. That is, you can say epithelial cells. Okay, just a second. What are the type of cells present in human body? So whether there are epithelial cells or whether there are mesenchymal cells, the two type of cells present in human body, epithelial cells and mesenchymal cells. Epithelial cells are of two types, squamous cells and columnar cells, and mesenchymal cells are of multiple types, multiple types. So which cell, now all of them can give rise to tumors. When there is a tumor from the epithelial cell, it is known as carcinoma. It is known, these are the basics, you already know, I know it, but just to clear your concept, I have to say these again, right? And here, if the tumor arises in mesenchymal cell, it leads to sarcoma. So we have two types of tumors in human body, either carcinoma or sarcoma. Carcinomas are of two types because epithelial cells are of two types. So it is squamous cell carcinoma when it is arising from squamous cells, and it is known as adenocarcinoma when it is arising from columnar cells. So these are the basics, right? So this is the basic. Okay, theoretically we know it. Just suppose I'm giving you a slide. This is a slide. On the slide, you can see a tumor. You can see a tumor. Have you seen the slides of the tumor, various tumors? And these are the cells of the tumor. You can see the pink, blue, purple cells are there. So this cells, now how you will come to know whether this is a carcinoma or whether it is a sarcoma. And the third type is lymphoma. There are three broad categories. If it is arising from lymph node, it is known as lymphoma. So whether it is arising from epithelial cell, that is carcinoma, whether it is arising from mesenchymal cell, that is sarcoma, or whether it is arising from lymph node, that is lymphoma. So ये ट्यूमर कौन सा है? That is the broad lineage. What is the lineage of the tumor? First tell me ये कार्सिनोमा है कि सार्कोमा है कि लिम्फोमा है? यदि कार्सिनोमा है तो कौन सा? स्क्वामस की एडिनो, वो भी है तो फर्दर कौन सा? फर्दर आई विल डिवाइड. सार्कोमा है तो कौन सा? रेप्डोमायोसार्कोमा, मेनी सार्कोमास आर देयर, एल्वियोलर सॉफ्ट पार्ट सार्कोमा. लिम्फोमा है तो कौन सा? हॉजकिंस की, नॉन हॉजकिंस. तो कौन सा है वो हम फर्दर डिवाइड बाद में करेंगे. पहले ये तो बताओ कार्सिनोमा है कि सार्कोमा है कि लिम्फोमा है. So that is these tumors are known as undifferentiated tumors. Looking at it, we cannot identify. So how we will identify? I am unable to identify. I am a pathologist. I have put the slide under microscope. I am looking at the slide, but I am unable to identify whether it is a carcinoma, ki sarcoma, ki lymphoma. So I will take help of IHC, immunohisto. I will apply immunohistochemistry. So immunohistochemistry are the brown colored. They come in the form of the liquids. And what? I will spread the IHC over the slide. IHC, specific IHC over the slide. So peculiar cell will pick up peculiar IHC only. That is, let me draw three cells. Okay. So this is a cell of carcinoma. This is a cell of sarcoma. This is a cell of lymphoma. This is a cell of melanoma. Melanoma. So my slide can have anything. I don't know. So all these cells have particular antigen on their surface. Carcinoma have different antigens. Sarcomas have different antigens. Lymphoma have different antigens, and melanoma have different antigens or different proteins on their surface. So whenever I will apply IHC, so specific IHC will be picked up by specific tumor. Are you getting me? If I am putting cytokeratin, it will be picked up by carcinoma only. If I am putting vimentin, it will be picked up, or desmin, it will be picked up by sarcoma only. If I am putting CD, CD markers, CD45 and various CD markers, so it will be picked up by lymphoma only. If I am putting melanoma के लिए क्या होता है? S100 or HMB45. These are the name of the IHCs. HMB45. It will be picked up by melanoma only. So actually these IHCs which I have enumerated here with a red color. So these IHCs are the antibody specific for this antigen. So it is lock and key phenomenon. Specific antibody for specific. ये वाली antibody इसी से bind करेगी, इन सब से नहीं करेगी. ये वाली सिर्फ इसी से करेगी. So that is the principle behind immunohistochemistry. The word immuno means antigen antibody reaction. So it is antigen antibody reaction, that is immuno, and histochemistry for histological diagnosis we are using this process. So this is my slide. You can see here. You can see this is my slide and I am having a tumor on it. The tumor is undifferentiated and I don't know the lineage, whether it is carcinoma, sarcoma, lymphoma or melanoma. So I will apply various IHCs. So I will apply CK, cytokeratin for this. I will apply vimentin and desmin for this. I will apply for CD45 for this. And melanoma, I will apply S100. So this is the IHC table. You have to learn. In short, if you got the principle, learn this IHC table. So as I have told you, these are the 5 main groups. There are epithelial tumors which are known as carcinomas. There are mesenchymal tumors which are known as sarcomas. And special में there are melanomas, there are lymphomas, there are neuronal tumors or neuroendocrine tumors. So what is the lineage? First tell me the lineage. Lineage क्या है? This is known as lineage of tumor. So various ISCs are available. You have to learn the names. Okay. For carcinomas, it is cytokeratin, pankeratin. Pankeratin means cytokeratin. Now high molecular weight keratin, low molecular weight keratin, cytokeratin, it is keratin. You have to learn the word keratin. Keratin में pankeratin आ जाए, cytokeratin आ जाए, high molecular weight आ जाए, low molecular weight आ जाए. Ultimately keratin is for carcinoma. Sarcomas के लिए there are many. The important one are vimentin, desmin. These two are important. Vimentin, desmin. Okay, learn only these two. Vimentin and desmin are really very important. For melanoma, as I have told you, S100 and HMB45 are really very important. For lymphoma, it is CD45. The another name of CD45 is leukocyte common antigen because it is present on B lymphocyte also, T lymphocyte also, on all lymphocytes. So that is lymphocyte common antigen, leukocyte common antigen. That is CD45. Have you got it? CD45. Now अब T के लिए है कि B के लिए तो we have different markers. If it is B lymphocyte, it is CD20. If it is T, then CD3. So that is the thing. And for neural, it is neurofilaments and NSC. Have you got it? Have you got it? So if I am having any tumor, this is my slide, and these are the tumor cells. These are undifferentiated. I want to know the lineage. I want to know the lineage. So whether it is carcinoma, whether it is sarcoma, whether it is melanoma, whether it is lymphoma, or whether it is neural, I want to know the lineage. So I will apply few ISCs. For carcinoma, I will apply keratin. If they took the keratin, if they become brown on taking the keratin, then it is carcinoma. Others will not take keratin. Keratin can be cytokeratin, it can be pankeratin, it can be low molecular weight keratin, it can be high molecular weight keratin. I hope I am crystal clear. Sarcoma mein, it is desmin and vimentin. Desmin and vimentin. Melanoma mein, it is S100 and HMB45. You have to learn. Lymphoma mein, it is CD45. The other name of CD45 is leukocyte common antigen LCA. And neuronal mein, it is NSC. So you have to learn. Now see your question. This is your question. Read your question. It is very easy now. It is very, very, very easy. Which of the following tumor is desmin positive? Desmin किसमें होता है? Desmin is in sarcoma. So see which of them is sarcoma. So melanoma, no, it is not a sarcoma. Medulloblastoma, it is not a sarcoma. Lymphoma, it is not a sarcoma. But rhabdomyosarcoma is a sarcoma. So the correct answer here is D. D. So in all sarcomas, not only any single. So rhabdomyosarcoma is a type of sarcoma. No? So the correct answer here is D. Instead of desmin, they can give you question on vimentin also. Instead of desmin and vimentin, if question contains S100, my answer will become 1. That is melanin. Have you got it? If the question contains CD45 or LCA, my answer will become C. That is lymphoma. So that is how different questions can have different options based on the same concept. It is not the thing ऐसा का ऐसा question इस साल भी आएगा. Desmin की जगह वो vimentin दे देंगे, S100 दे देंगे, CD45 दे देंगे, keratin दे देंगे. They can give you anything. So you should know the complete table of ISC. I hope I made this table simpler for you. Have you got it? Have you got it? Okay. The next question. The next question is in front of you. You can see the next question. It is in front of you. Please tell me the correct answer. What is the correct answer here? Okay. What is the correct answer here? Pap smear fixative. You should know fixatives. They are very, very, very important. Repeated many times. Not only pap smear, all fixatives in pathology. You should know. What is the correct answer here? What are the four options? It is 95% ethyl alcohol or 10% formalin or methanol or iodide. What is the pap smear fixative? Pap smear का fixative क्या है? What is the fixative for pap smear? Yes? What is the fixative? Yes. So correct answer here is A. Okay. So let me tell you fixatives in pathology. How many fixatives you know in pathology? Okay, I will ask you. So this is the questions. So these are the questions in front of you. Nearly 10, 12 questions are there. So tell me the fixative for routine histopathology in light microscopy. For light microscopy, you do light microscopy in your colleges, in your medical colleges you have light microscopy. So while preparing the slides for light microscopy, what fixatives you use? What fixative you use for electron microscopy? For different tissue in the body, we use different fixatives. For adrenal medulla, bone marrow aspirate, bone marrow biopsy, brain, GIT, gonads, testes, ovaries. What fixatives you use? Name the fixatives. Name them. Fixatives in cytopathology. Fixatives in pap smear. That was our question. And nuclear fixatives, fixative in karyotyping. You know what is karyotyping? So all 46 chromosomes are arranged in decreasing order of their length. You know the process of karyotyping. Name the fixatives. You can see Q. Q means question. It is already asked in PYQ. Not only in INICT, in many other exams also. So INICT, FMG, NEET PG, JIPMER, you know, PGI, NIMHANS, in various exams it is already, AIMS, it is already asked. So see the number of Qs, count them. So tell me the answers. Who knows the answers? These are the answers. Please learn this table. You cannot escape this table. Please, please, everyone. Okay. So for routine, पहले अपना क्वेश्चन कर लेते हैं. For pap smear और FNACs, we use 95% ethanol. So see our question. यहाँ से हो जाएगा solve. 95% ethyl alcohol means ethanol. So this is our answer for pap smear. So जरूरी नहीं है अगले साल भी pap smear पे ही क्वेश्चन आ जाए. हो सकता है इस साल कैरियोटाइपिंग का फिक्सेटिव पूछ लें आपसे. कैरियोटाइपिंग का क्या फिक्सेटिव होता है? हो सकता है इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोपी का पूछ लें, हो सकता है रूटीन माइक्रोस्कोपी का पूछ लें, हो सकता है किसी पर्टिकुलर टिश्यू का पूछ लें कि ओवरी का फिक्सेटिव क्या है, जीआईटी का फिक्सेटिव क्या है, ब्रेन का फिक्सेटिव क्या है, एड्रिनल मेडुला का फिक्सेटिव क्या है. तो फिक्सेटिव आपको किसी का भी पूछ सकते हैं. यू शुड नो द नेम ऑफ ऑल फिक्सेटिव्स in pathology. So that is the total fixatives in pathology. इतनी ही है. You have to learn. You have to learn. So for routine histopathology, it is 10% neutral buffered formalin. Please learn the percentage also. You also have this option ना 10% formalin. ये पैप के लिए नहीं है, ये रूटीन के लिए है. अगर क्वेश्चन में रूटीन होता, रूटीन माइक्रोस्कोपी, my answer will become B. So routine microscopy के लिए it is this. Have you got it? It is routine microscopy. So routine microscopy के लिए it is 10% formalin or neutral buffered formalin or 10% formalin you can learn. Electron microscopy के लिए glutaraldehyde. Please learn, repeat it again and again. Glutaraldehyde is the best fixative for electron microscopy. Others are there, लेकिन glutaraldehyde is the best. That is the thing. So for various tissues, for adrenal medulla, it is orth tissue. For bone marrow में दो चीजें होती हैं, you know ना. बोन मैरो एस्पिरेट अलग होता है, बायोप्सी अलग होता है. सो एस्पिरेट के लिए वी यूज हेली और बायोप्सी के लिए वी यूज ज़ैंकर. दोनों पे पीवाईक्यू आ चुका है. वन इन नीट पीजी, वन इन एम्स. It is already repeated. Please learn it. Please learn it. Brain tissue, formalin ammonium bromide. GIT के लिए Boyne's fluid. Testes और ovaries के लिए Sousa fixative. You have to learn these names. There is no escape. Karyotyping के लिए Carnoy. Learn the composition also. Carnoy का. Learn the composition also if you want to. If you don't want to learn. Give me a thumbs up, everyone. So that is the thing. That is the thing. Okay. Coming on the next question. Next question. This is the next question in front of you. This is the next question in front of you. What is the sequence of acid fast stain, AFB staining? What is the sequence? You should know the steps in acid fast staining. That is Zeal-Nelson staining, acid fast staining, AFB stain. What are the steps? So let me tell you the options. So is it carbofuscin followed by acid alcohol followed by methylene blue, or is it hematoxylin followed by alcohol formalin followed by methylene blue, or carbofuscin followed by acetic acid and hematoxylin, or Harry's hematoxylin, alcohol and eosin? So of course you all know it's a very easy question. The correct answer among them is A. That is carbofuscin followed by acid alcohol fixative followed by methylene blue. A is the correct answer. Okay, let me tell you. So the question is on staining. Now you can see this question is from patho or micro, so there is an overlap. ये topic patho में भी आता है, acid fast staining. ये topic microbiology में भी आता है. So there is an overlap. So I picked up this question in pathology also because there is an overlap. Anyways, so you should know staining. You should know staining. Now the question is on acid fast staining last year. हो सकता है इस साल क्वेश्चन ग्राम स्टेनिंग पे आ जाए, द सीक्वेंस ऑफ ग्राम स्टेनिंग. हो सकता है प्रिंसिपल पे आ जाए, व्हाट इज द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ एसिड फास्ट स्टेनिंग, व्हाट इज द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ ग्राम स्टेनिंग, व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू टाइप्स ऑफ स्टेनिंग. ओके, सो आई विल टीच यू बोथ स्टेनिंग, gram staining and acid fasting. So I will teach you both. Okay, let me start with gram stain. What is gram stain? It is the most widely stain used for bacteriology. Why gram is known as gram? Very few students knows it. It is discovered by a scientist known as Christian Gram in 1884. That's why gram is known as gram. You should know this. Gram is known as gram because it is discovered by Christian Gram. Have you got it? What is the method of gram staining? What is the method of gram staining? What is the method? Okay, there are 4 steps. gram staining की भी 4 steps हैं, acid fast staining के भी 4 steps हैं. Let me enumerate the 4 steps. First we apply a primary stain. That is the main stain, primary stain. After that we apply, we apply, क्या कहते हैं उसे, mordant. We apply a mordant. What is mordant? I will tell you. After that, we apply a decolorizer, the third step. And after that, we apply a secondary stain. We apply a secondary stain. So these are the four steps. But the stains, all the four things are different for gram stain and different for acid fast stain. And we will compare each step for each of them. But let me finish one by one. So let me talk about the steps of the gram stain first. So in gram stain, the primary stain which we use is gentian violet. And the secondary stain we use is carbol fuchsin. So it is a blue stain or violet stain and it is a red stain. So here we use blue stain initially as a primary and red stain in the end. Here we use red stain initially and blue in the end. So that is the reverse. You know, primary or secondary stains are reciprocal in gram stain and acid fast stain. That you should understand. यहाँ पे first stain जो हम use कर रहे हैं वो blue color की कर रहे हैं gram stain में. That is primary stain is a gentian violet or a blue stain. Mordant we use here is iodine. What is mordant? What is mordant? Okay, let me tell you. This is a bacteria. This is a bacteria. This is the nucleus of the bacteria. This is the stain. This is the stain. This is the gram stain. That is primary stain. Gentian violet, crystal violet. So once, and this is the cell wall. Let me draw the cell wall also. This is the cell wall of the bacteria. So once the stain go inside the bacteria, we give mordant also. This iodine is mordant. So iodine will go inside the bacterial cell. It will form a bond with the stain. So iodine and primary stain bond is formed so that primary stain do not diffuse back. It is stabilizing the primary stain inside the bacterial cell. That is known as mordant. Mordant. So here mordant we are using is iodine. Decolorizer we are using is alcohol. Please learn, it is ethanol. हम उसमें एसिड फास्ट स्टेन में we will use H2SO4. यहाँ पे हम यूज कर रहे हैं ethanol. And last secondary stain is a red stain, that is carbol fuchsin. It can be saffron also. It can be any red stain. Any red stain. Now the bacteria which pick up primary stain, that is become violet in color, these are gram positive. And the bacteria which took secondary stain, that is they become red in color, are gram negative. जिन्होंने प्राइमरी लिया वो ग्राम पॉजिटिव है, जिन्होंने सेकेंडरी लिया वो ग्राम नेगेटिव है. सो ऑल द बैक्टीरिया आर आइदर ब्लू और रेड, दैट इज आइदर वॉयलेट और रेड. Violet one are gram positive and red one are gram negative. So you will say, ma'am, what it is? We didn't got it. We didn't got it. Listen, I will tell you. So all bacteria are transparent. You know, this is a bacteria. It is transparent. Let me take another slide. This is a bacteria. It is transparent. All bacteria are transparent. All bacteria. So the first step, you are giving a violet stain, blue stain. So, okay. You are giving primary stain. So on taking primary stain, the bacteria will become all bacteria, they will become violet in color. They will become violet in color. The second step, you are giving mordant. On giving mordant, mordant is iodine. Again, they will remain violet because mordant is fixing the primary stain inside the cell. So they will remain violet only. The third step, you are using decolorizer. You are using decolorizer. Just a second. You are using decolorizer. That is ethanol. Now, here the bacteria will separate. Some of the bacteria, they will retain primary stain. They resist decolorization. They will not be decolorized. And some of the bacteria, they will, I'm sorry, what happened? I'm sorry. And some of the bacteria, they will favor decolorization and they will be decolorized. They again will become transparent. So on third step, some of the bacteria they are resisting decolorization and they are favoring decolorization. So these are not decolorized, they are retaining primary stain and they got decolorized, they become transparent. Now on applying the secondary stain जब हम apply कर रहे हैं, secondary stain, that is a red color stain. So the one which are violet, they do not have space for the secondary. They are already filled with the primary. They do not space for so they will remain violet only. And the one which become transparent, they will pick the secondary stain and they will become red in color. So these are known as gram positive and these are known as gram negative. So the one which took primary stain, they resist decolorization are primary, gram positive, and the one which favors decolorization and took the secondary stain, they are gram negative. So that is the principle. Here also you can see the 4 steps are in front of you. So the first step, a violet stain, that is purple or violet stain, crystal violet. That is a primary stain. The second step is mordant. Mordant is iodine. So again they are violet only. All of them are violet only. The third step is decolorizer, that is ethanol. Now see, some of them will become, compare, some of them become transparent and some of them are resisting decolorization. So some of them are purple, some of them are transparent. In the end, you are applying a secondary stain, which is a red color stain, also known as counter stain. So it can be crystal violet, it can be saffron, in any red stain. So the one which become transparent, they took the red. They took the red color. Can you see? And the one which resists decolorization, they remain purple only. So the purple one are gram positive and the red one are gram negative. What is the difference? Primary stain क्या है याद करो, secondary stain क्या है याद करो, decolorizer क्या है याद करो, और mordant क्या है याद करो. So 4 steps are in front of you. See, beautiful diagram. Beautiful diagram. All the bacteria are transparent initially. On applying crystal violet, all become violet in color. On applying iodine, all become violet only. On applying decolorizer, that is ethanol, now here comes the difference. Some of them resist decolorization, they remain violet only, and some of them favors decolorization, so they become transparent. On applying the counter stain, which is a red stain, so the one which resists decolorization, they do not have space to take this. So they will remain violet only. And the one which become transparent will take the red stain and they will become red. So these are gram positive, they are violet color. These are gram negative, they are red color. Give me a thumbs up. So in this slide, you can see both, the violet one also, the red one also. You can see both. You can see both. So violet one are the gram positive, red one are the gram negative. So what are gram positive? Classify them. How many gram positive bacteria you know? So you know, based on the shape of the bacteria, there are two types of bacteria. If they are circular, spherical, they are known as cocci. And if they are rod shaped, they are known as bacilli. They are known as bacilli. Done. Now here, जो कोकाएं हैं उनमें से ग्राम पॉजिटिव कौन है, ग्राम नेगेटिव कौन है. बेसिलाई में से ग्राम पॉजिटिव कौन है और ग्राम नेगेटिव कौन है. सो वी हैव 4 कैटेगरीज. ग्राम पॉजिटिव कोकाई जीपीसी, ग्राम नेगेटिव कोकाई जीएनसी, gram positive bacilli GPB, and gram negative bacilli GNB. So we have 4 classes. So you can see here it is gram positive cocci, gram negative cocci GPC, GNC, gram positive bacilli GPB, gram negative bacilli GNB. Can you see? Now enumerate them. There are only two, staphylococcus and streptococcus. Staph and strep are GPC. यहाँ पे सिर्फ एक ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, निजेरिया. यहाँ पे आपका निमोनिया क्या है, ABCDL. सो एक्टिनोमाइसिटीज, बेसिलिस, क्लॉस्ट्रिडियम, डिप्थेरिया एंड लिस्टेरिया. ABCDL. और बचे हुए all remaining, don't learn the names. All remaining are GNB. So this is how you have to learn. This is how you have. Now what is the principle? Why some of them are decolorized and some of them resist decolorized? The main step is the decolorization. कुछ ने किया, कुछ ने नहीं किया. The basic change is in the cell wall structure. Cell wall structure. You can see this is gram positive cell wall. This is gram negative cell wall. See the cell wall. In gram positive, there is a thick peptidoglycan layer. Can you see? This is a thick peptidoglycan layer in the cell wall of the gram positive bacteria. And there is a thin peptidoglycan layer in the cell wall of gram negative. So here, because of thick, they are resisting decolorization. And because of thin, they are favoring decolorization. So they resist decolorization, they took primary stain only. And they favor decolorization, they become transparent and they took secondary stain. So main difference is in the structure of the cell wall. Same thing you can see here also. See, gram positive, see the purple color. This purple, it is peptidoglycan. In gram negative, see this purple, it is peptidoglycan. So here it is thick, more peptidoglycan. Here it is thin, less peptidoglycan. Many MCQs are from this. Many. You can understand it. So that is all about gram staining. Let me come on acid fast stain, which is our question. What are the steps in acid fast stain? So gram stain was discovered by Christian Gram. Acid fast stain was discovered by Ehrich. But it is modified by Zeal and Nelson. That's why it is known as Zeal-Nelson. The other name of acid fast stain is Zeal-Nelson stain. Zeal-Nelson stain. Have you got it? Now, what is the method? Again, the 4 steps. Okay, what are the 4 steps? So, the first step is primary stain. Second step is mordant. The third step is decolorizer. And the fourth step is secondary stain. In gram staining, what were the 4 things? In acid fast staining, what are the 4 things? Who will compare? Okay, I will tell you. In gram stain, here a violet stain was there. The primary stain, that is crystal violet, gentian violet. Mordant was iodine. Decolorizer was ethanol, alcohol, ethanol. And secondary stain was a red color stain, right, like carbol, saffron. हियर उल्टा हो जाएगा, यहाँ पे प्राइमरी स्टेन आपका रेड कलर स्टेन होगा, दैट इज कार्बोल फिस्चिन, यू नो कार्बोल फिस्चिन, सैफ्रन एनी। मॉर्डेंट आपका हीट होगा, नॉट आयोडीन, इट इज हीट। डिकलराइजर आपका 20% H2SO4 होगा, दैट इज एसिड नॉट एल्कोहल। एंड सेकेंडरी स्टेन आपका वॉयलेट होगा, एनी वॉयलेट स्टेन, दैट इज क्रिस्टल वॉयलेट, जेंशियन वॉयलेट। हैव यू गॉट इट? सो आपके स्टेन्स आर रिवर्स्ड, वॉयलेट वॉयलेट, रेड रेड, प्राइमरी बिकम सेकेंडरी, सेकेंडरी बिकम प्राइमरी। सो आपका ये रिवर्स हो गया, आपका मॉर्डेंट इज डिफरेंट, आपका डिकलराइजर इज डिफरेंट। हैव यू गॉट इट? ओके, सो सी हियर, प्राइमरी स्टेन इज कार्बोल फिस्चिन, मॉर्डेंट यहाँ लिखा नहीं है, आप लिख लो हीट, इट इज हीट। Decolorizer is 20% sulfuric acid, H2SO4, and secondary stain is a blue stain, methylene blue, crystal violet, anything is there. So the one which retain primary stain, that is red in color, are acid fast organism, and the one which are taking secondary stain, counter stain, and become blue in color, they are non acid fast. वहां पे gram positive gram negative थे, यहाँ पे acid fast and non acid fast. So gram positive, gram negative, acid fast. So it's the same principle. Here the difference is due to mycolic acid in the cell wall, not peptidoglycan. यहाँ पे, so all bacteria are transparent initially. You can see all of them are transparent. On giving primary stain, carbol fisчин, all will take the primary stain, all will become red. All will become red. On heating also, mordant also, all will become red only. On adding decolorizer, that is 20% H2SO4. Some of them are resisting decolorization and they become red only, and some of them favors decolorization, they become transparent. On adding secondary stain, that is counter stain, that is methylene blue, the one which resist, they do not have space to take this, they will remain red only, and the one which become transparent will take the secondary stain and they will become blue. The one which are red are known as acid fast organism, the one which are blue are known as non acid fast organism. So that is the principle, the basic principle, the same steps are shown. Everyone is red, then some of them are decolorized, some of them are non decolorized, and on adding counter stain, the one which are decolorized, they took the blue color. So these are acid fast, which are red in the end, and these are non-acid fast, which are blue in the end. So the summary is that in gram stain, in acid fast stain, so the one in the end, which are violet, which are red, the one in the end, which are red, which are blue. So the one which are violet, they are gram positive. The one which are red are gram negative. Here, the one which are red are acid fast organism. The one which are blue are non-acid fast organism. This is the summary. And here the difference is in mycolic acid in the cell wall. If the mycolic acid is present, you can see the red color organisms. Can you see the red color rods in a blue background? See the red color rods. Please appreciate. It can come in your IBQ also. Very important IBQ. IBQ कुछ भी आ सकता है. Identify the stain. The answer is acid fast stain. Identify the red color organism. It is an acid fast organism. Usually it is Mycobacterium tuberculosis or any acid fast organism. What is blue thing in the background? It is necrosis. So you should answer this. The principle is mycolic acid in the cell wall. Because of mycolic acid, can you see the pink color? It is not peptidoglycan. It is mycolic acid which is retaining the primary stain and resists decolorization. That is the thing. Name acid fast organism. आपने वहां पे ग्राम पॉजिटिव में चार क्वाड्रेंट डिवाइड किए. What are gram positive cocci? What are gram negative cocci? What are gram positive bacilli and what are gram negative bacilli? You have divided. Here we have only two things, acid fast and non-acid fast. Learn acid fast, remaining all are non-acid fast. So we have a mnemonic for it. What is the mnemonic? No longer separate booking for RIM SIM card. What is the full form? I will tell you the full form. No ka N is nocardia. Longer ka L is legionella. S is magma bacilli. B is bacterial spores. RIM. R is rhodococcus. I is isospora. M is mycobacterium. You all know mycobacterium tuberculosis तो सबको पता है. And leprosy. Both mycobacterium. Sim का S is sperm. Human male sperm. Done. And card का C is cryptococcus. So these all are acid fast organism. Some of them are bacteria. Some of them are parasites. Some of them are others. So which of them you can separate? इनमें से बैक्टीरिया कौन कौन से हैं यहाँ पे लिख लो. These all are bacteria. Mycobacterium, nocardia, rhodococcus, magma and legionella. Which of them are parasites? Parasites निकालो. Cryptospora, cyclospora, isospora, and others में spores और sperm. So you can separate them like this. So you have to learn it which of them are acid fast organism, which of and remaining all are non-acid fast. So that is the thing. There are some modification in Ziehl-Neelsen staining. What are the modifications? The modification is in the decolorizer. Normal decolorizer is just a second. 20% H2SO4. Normal is 20% H2SO4. Instead of 20%, if you use 5% H2SO4, it is for Mycobacterium leprae. We use 1% H2SO4 for actinomycetes, 0.5% for nocardia, and 0.25% for isospora, cryptospora, and bacterial spores. So these are the modification in the percentage of H2SO4 that you have to learn. So that is the thing. That is the thing. So we have to compare gram stain with acid fast stain. Now you can answer your question very correctly. Okay, just a second. Okay. Let me show you the question again. Now you can answer it. So I'm done with acid fast stain. Okay. So this is the question in front of you. Just a second. See, read the question and tell me the correct answer. What is the correct sequence of AFB staining? What is the sequence of AFB staining? Yeah, now you know the primary stain here is carbol fustian and the decolorizer is acid alcohol यहाँ लिखा है but mainly use 20% acid and methylene blue is the secondary stain. So A is the correct answer. You can read other options also but they are wrong. We don't use hematoxylin at all. कहीं पे भी हम use नहीं करते. So the correct answer here is A. That is the thing. Have you got it? Okay. Okay. So let me move to the next question. So the question is on this. So you got your answer, I guess. Just a second. Let me move to the next question for INICT. INICT PYQs हम लोग कर रहे हैं. You have to give me a minute to jump. Yeah, this is the next question. This is the next question in front of you. Okay, read the question. Read the question calmly. Then tell me what is the correct answer. Then we will discuss why it is the correct answer. Okay. So it is a common sense question. ये knowledge based नहीं है, common sense based question है. All the viruses integrate with human genome except. The question contains except. Is it HPV, human papilloma virus, EBV, Epstein-Barr virus, HTLV, human T-cell lymphoma virus, or hepatitis B? Which cell do not integrates with human genome? Integrate. तो कौन से वायरस इंटीग्रेट करते हैं, कौन से नहीं करते हैं? Do you know it? Do you know it? Which viruses integrate with human genome and which do not integrate? Yes or no? Do you know it or do not know it? Viruses are of two types, DNA viruses and RNA viruses. You know, all DNA viruses integrate with human genome. All RNA viruses do not directly integrate with human genome. They first form a provirus and then provirus will integrate with the human genome. What is the RNA virus have retro virus now? These are the retrovirus. They have reverse transcriptase in them. Using reverse transcriptase, RNA cannot integrate directly with human genome. Now, you know humans have DNA. This is a human cell. This is the nucleus of human cell. This is DNA. We all have DNA as genetic material, right? So our nucleus contains DNA and this is a virus. Okay, let me draw a virus for you to explain you the concept. This is a virus. Now, if the virus directly contain DNA, it can integrate. But if the virus contain RNA, so RNA first had to be converted into DNA before integration. So first, from virus, it has to convert into provirus. Using reverse transcriptase, the RNA get converted into DNA, then it can integrate. So in short, which of the following is a RNA virus? This is the question. So question is based on DNA RNA virus. So it is a common sense question. You know the classification, no? इसमें से कौन सा DNA virus है और कौन सा RNA virus है? 3 are DNA, only 1 is RNA. So जो 3 DNA है, HPV is a DNA virus, EBV is a DNA virus, hepatitis B is a DNA virus. So they can integrate with human genome directly. But HTLV1 is a RNA virus. First, it has to get convert into DNA before integrating. So the correct answer among them is C. That is 3. Have you got it? Because this is a RNA virus. Rest all are DNA virus. Have you got it? So you should know the classification. Okay. And these all, after integrating, they will cause cancer in human. So I will teach you biological carcinogenesis here. You know the meaning of biological carcinogenesis. So how many viruses? There are 6 viruses. There is one parasite, one bacteria, and there are 4 parasites which causes cancers in human by causing mutation in the genes. All of them are known as biological carcinogenesis. These are known as biological carcinogenesis. Okay, let me tell you how many RNA viruses you know. So total 6 viruses I have told you, no, which are carcinogenic. So out of them 2 are RNA and 4 are DNA. Total 6 viruses are there which causes cancers in human. So out of the 2 RNA viruses, it is HTLV1 virus and hepatitis C virus. Out of the 4 DNA virus, it is hepatitis B virus, HHV8 virus, human papilloma virus and Epstein-Barr virus. So these are the 4 DNA and 2 RNA viruses which causes cancer in human being. Let me talk about both of them, DNA and RNA. Let me start with DNA. DNA virus क्या करते हैं? See, this is a human cell. Can you see? This is a human cell. Can you see? This is the nucleus of the human cell. Inside the nucleus of the human cell, this is the DNA. Blue color I am marking. DNA of human. And this is a virus. Let me mark the virus. This is a virus. The virus is entering inside the human cell in the cytoplasm. And the red color is the DNA of the virus. So once the virus enters inside the nucleus of the human, the red is the virus DNA, blue is the human DNA, and both of them are integrating with each other. Can you see half red, half blue? I cannot zoom it out. Please appreciate this half red color and half blue color. Please appreciate half blue, half red, half red, half blue. Please appreciate it. So because of the integration, see this integration. It is integration. So it is DNA virus. Now it can come and directly integrate. यहाँ पे भी DNA है, humans के पास भी DNA है, and virus का भी DNA है. So both the DNA will integrate and it will cause malignancy. It will cause malignancy. So DNA viruses can directly integrate. So that is the thing. That is the thing. So these are the DNA viruses which will integrate. That is HPV, HHV8, HBV, and Epstein-Barr virus. Learn the name. What about RNA viruses? RNA viruses cannot directly integrate with human genome because DNA cannot integrate with RNA. Human cells have DNA and the virus have RNA. So this RNA first has to convert into DNA before integrating. So they have an enzyme. The name of the enzyme is reverse transcriptase. So see this diagram. You can see a human cell. You can see the human genome. You can see the blue color is the human DNA as usual. You can see the virus here. This is the virus. So virus contains an enzyme reverse transcriptase. With the help of reverse transcriptase, first it converts DNA into RNA into DNA. It is converting RNA into DNA with the help of the enzyme known as reverse transcriptase. Now, such virus in which RNA got converted into DNA is known as provirus. Now, provirus. This is a provirus. Now it contains DNA. Now it will integrate. Now it can integrate with the human genome. So it is not a direct thing. It is indirect. So you can see the cancers caused by DNA and RNA viruses. You can read the name of the virus here. EBV causes nasopharyngeal carcinoma. EBV also causes Burkitt lymphoma. HTLV causes human T-cell leukemia lymphoma. Done. HBV and HCV causes liver cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma. HHV8 causes Kaposi sarcoma, and HPV causes cervix cancer. Done. So that is the thing you should learn. You should learn. So that is the thing. Okay. Let me move to the next question. So it was a common sense question. Let me move to the next question. The next question is in front of you. The next question is in front of you. Which of the following statement about G6PD deficiencies are true? Which of the following statements about G6PD deficiency are true? Which of the following? Now the options are these. पहले आप statement पढ़ो. उनमें से कौन-कौन से true हैं? You should know about G6PD deficiency. What is G6PD deficiency, by the way? It is a type of hemolytic anemia. It is a type. At the initial of the lecture, I started the first question with PNH, paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. It was also a hemolytic anemia. G6PD deficiency is also a hemolytic anemia, right? Which of the following are true about G6PD deficiency? Okay, let me read the option. It is not able to produce NADPH. Yes, G6PD deficiency do not produce NADPH. I will explain you how. RBCs are immune to macrophages. No, it is not the thing. Inability to reduce glutathione. Yes, these people have inability to reduce glutathione. And they reduces lipid peroxidation of the cell membrane. They do not reduce, they increase lipid peroxidation of the cell membrane. So this option is incorrect. So according to me, A and C are correct. And A and C are given in option 4. So that is why D is correct answer. D means A and C both are correct. A and C, two options are correct. Okay, I will explain you and come on this question again. First, I will explain you. So this is the classification of hemolytic anemias you can see. This is the classification of hemolytic anemias you can see here. So some of them are hereditary, some of them are acquired. In the acquired, there is AIHA, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, MAHA, that is microangiopathic hemolytic anemia, paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinemia, toxins and splenomegaly. So in the initial of the lecture, I have discussed PNH. Now from the hereditary, whether the problem is in RBC cell membrane or interior of the RBC. In the interior, whether problem with the enzyme or hemoglobin. Problem in the enzyme is, most common enzyme is G6PD. You can see here, this is the RBC. Let me mark a RBC. You can see this is the RBC. So the problem is not the cell membrane. The problem is interior. Interior means the problem is enzymes in the RBC are deficient. Most common enzyme which is deficient is G6PD. So there are four type of enzyme deficiencies: G6PD, pyruvate kinase, aldolase deficiency, and hexokinase. This is in sequence only. Most common deficiency is G6PD deficiency. So G6PD deficiency से होता क्या है? G6PD is why essential for us. Inside my blood, your blood, inside our RBCs, G6PD is present. Inside my RBC, your RBC. Why this G6PD is essential? If this G6PD is present, my RBC will not lyse. If it is absent, congenitally, hereditary, if it is absent, the RBC will lyse. It will burst up, it will cause hemolytic anemia. Why? How? What is the mechanism? What is the pathophysiology behind it? Are you getting my question? Are you getting my question? Okay, let me tell you. Let me tell you. So G6PD deficiency. G6PD deficiency. Okay, so what is G6PD deficiency? It is a hereditary X-linked recessive disorder. We have four type of inheritance in genetics: autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked dominant, and X-linked recessive. So G6PD यहाँ पे आ रहा है. G6PD deficiency is X-linked recessive. Very important PYQ repeated many times in exam. So it is not autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked dominant. It is X-linked recessive, and it leads to hemolytic anemia on exposure to oxidative stress. Okay, let me tell you something. Okay, listen. Okay, okay, can you see? This is the it is a glycolytic pathway which is take place in the mitochondria of the RBC. You can see it is glycolytic pathway. So glucose get converted into glucose 6 phosphate. It get converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. It get converted into pyruvate. We have studied all this in biochemistry, right? During this process, NADPH got converted into NADPH. That is, NADPH is formed. But the formation of NADPH requires an enzyme G6PD. That is, G6PD is required for the formation of NADPH. You should know this concept. Learn this concept. NADPH के formation के लिए G6PD लगता है. For the formation of NADPH in glycolytic pathway, we require an enzyme. The name of the enzyme is G6PD. Have you got it? G6PD. Have you got it? Have you got it? That is the thing. That is the thing. Listen now. If any oxidative stress is coming in the body, if any oxidative stress यहाँ से शुरू करो, is coming in the body. Oxidative stress क्या होता है? I will give you the examples. So during oxidative stress, free radical is formed. During oxidative stress, this H2O2 is formed. This free radical is formed during oxidative stress. Inside the cell, this free radical, which is H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide, is formed. Now this hydrogen peroxide will causes lysis of the cell and kill the cell if we will not destroy it. For destroying it, God has given a mechanism. We can convert it into water using an enzyme known as glutathione. So glutathione convert it into water, but during this, for converting H2O2 into H2O, the glutathione got oxidized. Glutathione got oxidized. So again, for reducing it, we require an enzyme known as glutathione reductase. For the activation of glutathione reductase, we require NADPH. For the formation of NADPH, we require G6PD. यहाँ पे बताया ना मैंने, NADPH के formation के लिए G6PD लगेगा. Just suppose I am having an oxidative stress in my body. Now, what are the example of oxidative stress? Oxidative stress, I am having bacterial infection, I am having viral infection, I have ingested some drug. Just suppose I am having malaria. So I have taken anti-malarial drugs like Primaquine, sulfonamides, nitrofurantoin, aspirin, vitamin K, some metabolic acidosis, ingestion of fava beans. So these are the examples of oxidative stress. If I am exposed to some oxidation, just suppose I am malaria, I am taking an anti-malarial drug. So inside my cell, this is a cell, this is my RBC. Inside my RBC, H2O2 will be formed. Because of the oxidative stress, H2O2 will be formed. Now this H2O2 will kill the cell if I do not kill this H2O2. So for killing this, for scavenging this H2O2, we have an enzyme known as glutathione. Glutathione will convert this H2O2 immediately into water as soon as it is formed. But for glutathione to reduce it again, we require another enzyme, glutathione peroxidase. For glutathione reductase. For glutathione reductase, we require NADPH. For NADPH, we require G6PD. So my cell have G6PD. So G6PD will form NADPH. NADPH will reactivate glutathione reductase. Glutathione reductase will reactivate glutathione. Glutathione will convert H2O2 into water. So H2O2 will be destroyed and the cell will not be lysed. But imagine a person in which G6PD is absent. So G6PD is absent, so NADPH is not formed. NADPH is not formed, so glutathione reductase will not function. Glutathione reductase will not function, so glutathione will not be reduced. It will be oxidized only. So glutathione will not be reduced. It will not convert H2O2 into water. H2O2 will remain H2O2 only. And this H2O2 will cause lysis of the cell. The cell will burst. It will lead to hemolytic anemia. Give me a thumbs up. I tried my best. So that is the best shot I can give. The two flowcharts are in front of you. So the two flowcharts, one is normal person, one is person with G6PD deficiency. Imagine I am a normal person, I do not have G6PD deficiency. If I am exposed to any oxidative stress, bacterial infection, viral infection, anti-malarial drug, fava beans, so that is oxidative stress. So G6 is present inside me. G6 will form NADPH. NADPH will activate glutathione reductase, and it will reduce glutathione, and glutathione will convert H2O2 into H2O. So no hemolysis will take place. Hemolysis of the RBC will not take place. But if G6PD deficiency is there and oxidative stress is there, so NADPH is not formed. So glutathione will not function. So H2O2 will not get converted into water, and H2O2 will lead to hemolysis. So it will lead to hemolytic anemia. Have you got it? Hemolytic anemia. That will lead to hemolytic anemia. In hemolytic anemia due to G6PD deficiency, you get two specific features in the morphology of the RBC. You get two types of bodies. One is Haines body, one is White cell. इन दोनों पे इतनी बार PYQ आ चुका है, you can't even imagine. You have to learn. Haines body seen in G6PD deficiency, White cell seen in G6PD deficiency. See, these are the Haines bodies. Can you see? This is RBC. Inside RBC, see this dot like structure. These are not seen in normal Romanowski stain. This is normal Romanowski stain. It is seen in supravital stain. इसी के ऊपर जब मैं supravital stain करूंगी तो यही वाले RBC के अंदर I can see Haines body. So Haines bodies are seen only in supravital stain, not on Romanowski stain. And these are the precipitate of denatured hemoglobin in RBC. Denatured hemoglobin. What are White cells? White cells are splenic macrophages. These are the eaten RBCs by splenic. Can you see? This is a complete RBC. Everyone see here. This is a complete circular RBC. Imagine I will take a bite out of it. इसमें से एक bite ले लिया तो it will look like this. So splenic macrophage have taken a bite out of it. That's why known as bite cell. So please learn, bite cell and Haines bodies are the features. Both of them are the features of G6PD deficiency. So total out of 32 questions, almost 15 questions I have discussed till now. So I have to stop here. This is episode number 1. Rest 16 questions I will continue in episode number 2 of INICET June PYQs, June 2021. Just a second. Let me announce my next class. Then you people can leave. So thank you very much for being with me. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed teaching you, and hopefully same from your side. So today I have discussed INICET previous year questions of June 2021. Out of almost 32 questions, we have covered 15 questions in this lecture. The remaining 17 questions I will cover in episode 2. This was episode 1 in episode 2. So don't forget to attend episode 2 also. Episode 2 is today only after half an hour. Today only after half an hour you can watch it live, and that is episode number 2. So you can join episode number 2 and watch that the remaining 17 questions. So all 32 questions of June 22, 2021 is covered. And tomorrow I will give you paper of November 2020, INICET November 2020. All pathology questions. So there are 28 pathology questions in this November 2020. I will give you all. So don't forget to give your feedback. Please drop a comment in the comment box if you like the lecture. Don't forget to click on the like button. Thank you very much. What you can do if you want more such lectures, that is free, available on Unacademy Learners app. So go to the Play Store, install Unacademy Learners app. Unacademy Learners app from the Play Store. After installing the app, go to the NEET PG category. After going to the NEET PG category, search my name. My name is Dr. Priyanka Sachdev. Once you search my name, you will find my profile link. Please follow my profile link. If you follow my profile link, you will get notifications of all free classes available there, number 1. And you will also get a list of lectures taken by me, the recordings of which are available free of cost, along with the notes which you can download at any moment. You can download the notes. You can use my code, that is Sachdev10, SACHDEV. Sachdev10 is the code to unlock it. It is free, but you will require a code to unlock it, so don't hesitate to use this code. On Unacademy, we also have paid platform. That was the free. On paid platform, we have two types of subscriptions. So let me inform you about those subscriptions also. One is Plus subscription, one is Iconic subscription. What is the difference between the two? In Plus subscription, you will get access to live and recorded lectures of Unacademy only. In Iconic, along with Unacademy, you will get access to Prep Ladder also. So if you are thinking of taking a paid subscription, go with Iconic, because the price difference between Plus and Iconic is very less, but in Iconic you are getting additional benefit of Prep Ladder along with the Unacademy. So that is the thing you can do. So what you can do, you can go to your Unacademy Learners app and check for various plans. So you can select your plan, whether you want Plus plan or whether you want Iconic plan. In Plus plan, you can select the duration of your plan, 18 months, 24 months, 36 months. In Iconic also, you can select the duration of your plan. You can check the prices of various plans. Whatever according to your wish, according to your need, the plan which most suitable to you, you can go for that plan. Now there is an exciting news for you. The exciting news is that if you apply my code before payment, this is the code, you will get straightforward 10% discount on the existing price. So don't forget the code. Please note it down. It is Sachdev10. SACHDEV Sachdev10. So code is there. Please distribute this code to all your seniors, juniors, batchmates, colleagues, interns, everyone, all medicos throughout the world, so they can utilize this code for two purposes: for unlocking the free classes and for taking discount during the paid subscription. That is the thing. On Plus platform, we also have a very high yield clinical question bank which contains more than 25,000 clinical integrated new pattern questions. And I can guarantee you, if you solve all these 25,000 questions, your selection is guaranteed. We are really proud of our star learners, and I want your photograph to be next here. Done. And on paid platform, we have many batches. One batch for Next, one batch for FMG, one batch for INICT, one batch for NEET PG, one batch for clinical examination procedure. So once you take the subscription, you will be eligible to attend the lectures during in all these batches from India's top educators. So top educators are already available to teach you there. So don't miss this opportunity. Thank you very much for being with me. And if you like the lecture, don't forget to click on the like button. Please share with all your friends. Please drop a comment in the comment box, and don't forget to subscribe our channel. Let's crack NEET PG. Okay. Thank you very much. Don't forget to join me for episode number 2 for INICT previous year question June 2021. See you. Bye-bye and study hard. All the best.